Let's go with it.
We are recording now.
All right. Excellent.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Word
Well,
us
welcome,
about
everyone.
release.
Yeah.
We are glad to be here, and thank you all for tuning in and for just watching our Beating the COVID-19 Slide in Bachman Lake campaign. My name is Josh Geiger. I'm the executive director, and we've got a couple of our senior directors here that I just want to give them a chance to introduce themselves. So Betsy, why don't we start with you, just really briefly?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Betsy Araujo, and I'm the director of the Early Childhood Education Program. And we have 3 classes. We from pre-K 1, 2, and 3. So our kids are between 8 months old to 4-year-old children.
Very good. And Andrea.
Yeah, hi, I'm Andrea Livingston, and I am the director of our our elementary school literacy programs. So after school and summer at the lake.
Very good. And Steve, tell us who you are, man.
Well, I'm the director of adult education, which for us is primarily English as second language. And so we have classes on the evenings on Monday and Wednesday. We have classes also in the mornings on Tuesday and Thursday, which pairs up with Betsy's program with mostly the students in the mornings are moms who bring their kids to these programs. So they're actually getting a double blessing, a blessing for their children and a blessing to be in our classes to learn English. And anyway, so yeah, we were hoping to be able to get some computer things going this year, but and we're still hoping for that next year, but we will definitely be planning to expand some of these educational offerings.
Well, Dan and anyone else who joins in, if you want to send in, you can send in a question by chat, or you can just unmute yourself and ask the question, but not to put people on the spot. If you don't have questions, I've got a couple that I want to kind of ask the staff and just give the staff a chance to talk about some things. So I wanted to start and just ask our staff, what are you seeing among the families in Bachman Lake? How is this COVID-19 coronavirus crisis impacting our families? And maybe, Betsy, can I put you on the spot and ask you to go first and just talk about the impact you're seeing among our children and families?
Yeah, well, of course, the concern that some of our families started losing their jobs, the husbands and the moms that were working even in the afternoon, they started losing their jobs, so meaning a loss of a job and income. But also even some of our moms had to quit their jobs because now their elementary children are at home, and now they have to take care of them as well, which that's not a burden for them. I think the greatest frustration and struggling for our moms is that they have to help their children with their school homework or classwork, and they're struggling because they don't speak the language. They don't have the instruments that they need to help them with the homework, like internet connections or things like that. And some of them living in an apartment and, a small space, and having our little students, younger students with their elementary kids all in one apartment for the whole day, not being able to run and play. So it's been very hard for the moms, but also for the children. So yeah, we're very blessed that we can at least send them videos and have meetings with them through Zoom, because that's a break and an excitement for our children, for our EC students. But yeah, our moms are having a hard time.
Andrea, what are you seeing among the children and families that you serve? What are maybe some stories or particular families, how you've seen them be impacted?
Yeah, I think pretty similar to Betsy is seeing, well, obviously there's the economic impact on families that were already struggling, but I think just educationally as well, because we're thinking, parents that maybe they don't really have that much education in their own first language, and as well as the language barrier. So it's really hard for them to be able to support their kids in their homework. And also just access to technology. Many of them don't have tablets and laptops at home. And so they're sharing a smartphone in between 3 or 4 kids to try to get their homework. So that's been challenging. I think for a lot of our moms, at the beginning and even still just internet access as well was something that we were working with a lot of our parents trying to help them get at home. So I think all these factors put together make it really difficult for the kids to get a lot of learning at home this time that they've been out of school.
Mhm.
Steve, if you got anything to add there, or any stories of just families that how you've seen them weathering this coronavirus
Mhm.
odyssey we're all on?
Yeah. I think, well, two words come to mind for me, and that's fear and uncertainty. There's definitely fear there because this disease is such it's a frightening thing in many ways. I mean, not all of our students are young. we probably have a few students that are my age, and that's not too young. But there's that uncertainty of knowing how that disease is going to affect them, or whether it's going to come close to home for them and take out a loved one. There's fear for families back home in their countries of origin, and then there's also the uncertainty because when you're already facing poverty and things like this come on top of you, it just creates so much fright and uncertainty together. And not only the job loss that has already been mentioned, but the fear of not even knowing if there's a job awaiting you when things begin to lift, whenever that's going to be and what that's going to look like is still, there's so much that's unknown, and that's a fearful thing. So, but at the same time, I've seen great encouragement. I think there's hope in their faces when they show up, for example, at our food events, and so much food is handed over to them. And it's one of the common things I hear is gracias a Dios. They know who to give praise to for these things that are happening, the blessings that come their way. So it's fun to be a part of that. And we've been able to touch our families through this in ways that we would not have imagined before. So, God is always at work bringing good in the midst of pain and suffering and all kinds of difficulties. So it's great to be a part of that.
Steve, why don't you just continue and tell us a little bit about how has the ESL program, or how has the adult education program adapted and changed to all these, to all the challenges that the COVID-19 crisis has brought? What have you and your program done, and how have you guys adapted to that?
Yeah, well, like all the other educational venues out there, we've had to switch to online education. So while I was supposed to be enjoying a restful spring break, I spent most of my time coming up with a plan for getting us on the online with Zoom. Fortunately, Zoom is an application that can run on cell phones. Like Betsy said, I think Andrea said as well, our students, I do not know of a single student that has a computer at home. If there's any, it's just very, very few. Not all of them even have phones that can run Zoom, but we have seen a good response to having our education opportunities online. The attendance certainly hasn't been what we would like, but it's been there, and the students are coming, and it's encouraging also to see that a lot of them will come and watch the YouTubes that we upload, which are recordings of our classes, so that they can continue. And even the ones that can't come consistently are still continuing their work. And an example of that is one student who hardly ever missed our regular classes. She's only come to one of the Zoom classes, and she smiled and said, "I have totally finished all the exercises in my workbook through the end of the year." So, those kind of things are really encouraging. The students, although they struggle with trying to stay with us in these programs, they're not giving up, and they want to continue. So it's been challenging, but it's actually been fun. It's been educational for me.
Very good. And Andrea, what about with the elementary school literacy and the after-school reading program? How have you guys adapted to the challenges that have come with COVID-19?
Yeah, so especially at the beginning, but we still continue to do so. It's a lot of working with the parents first off. It was kind of helping make sure if they didn't have internet access, connecting them with the resources to try and get that. We have a few parents that were able to use those resources to get some of that free Wi-Fi at home that some companies are offering. Um, and we've also been able to lend out tablets to our families in after school that didn't have any. And so that's been able to help them with some of their schoolwork, but with also some of the stuff that we're continuing to do in after school. So what we've done with the teachers in after school, we still record we do our weekly Bible stories, but with a video. And so we have a weekly Bible story that we record. We do a weekly read aloud story time for them. And then each of our students has 2 sessions a week with a teacher. And so we're continuing to do online classes like that. And so we get to practice reading. We focus still on vocabulary and sight words and comprehension. So it's not the same as in the classroom, but it's been fun to still be able to serve our students in that way and still have classes one-on-one on video. And the moms it's been really awesome. We weren't sure it was going to really work just because it's after school, not their primary school, but we've had just a really great response from the moms and the families in continuing that. So all of our students have been joining in on those classes twice a week. So.
Very good. And Betsy, what would you add for early childhood education? How have you all adapted to this new COVID-19 environment?
Well, as Andrea mentioned, the first step for us when we started with the quarantine, we first check on our families, how they were to see how they were doing and their needs, and then we started recording videos to send to the children, which that was really exciting, so they can continue with their learning, and they loved it to see their teachers. So then we add the video phone calls. They loved it. They loved it. So we started first just having a teacher with two children, and then when we did the Zoom meeting with all the children, we were nervous. We didn't know how that was going to work, but they loved it. They loved to see their friends. They loved to be together. After the meeting was over, the Zoom meeting, we received texts from the moms telling us that they were crying when it finished because they wanted to see their friends. So it's been a blessing, it's been a blessing for us, but as well for the moms, to see that, to feel that they are part of the family, that we are taking care of them. And because these families, they don't have family members here. They don't have a support group. So they are feeling their support and care and love through Casa del Lago. So we're really thankful that we can be there for them.
Thank you, Betsy. So Andrea, one of the things, this campaign, our Beating the COVID-19 slide, it really is primarily centered around raising funds for our summer reading camps. And could you give just like a 60 to 90 second overview of what we've done over the last 4 years in the summer reading camps and why we have them?
Yeah. So our summer reading camps, what they normally look like, it's a 2-part program. And so we have our reading camps for kindergarten through 5th graders. Last year we served 85 students. And so they have different reading rotations. So it kind of is an educational program in the summer for them. And so we're practicing different reading skills. But then we also have fun things that we do with them. We do crafts and we do games. We offer them lunches in the summer. Last year we got to partner with the YMCA for them to go to swim lessons. Northway Church was awesome, and they opened up their gym to us for our kids to have rec time there. We got to go on a field trip. So it's a lot of different fun things for them in the summer to kind of get them out of the house and involved in positive educational things. And then the second part of our program is the Summer Youth Corps, which is focused on high school students. For students, high schoolers in the Bachman Lake area, but also other high schoolers around Dallas. And for them, it's it's a summer internship and kind of a discipleship experience for them as well. So they get trained and paid to help us run our summer camps and work for us in the summer. But they also go through a Bible study over the summer, and we have different life skills trainings and workshops that we do with them. So I think for them, it's a really cool time to learn and grow in a group, and a way for them to give back to their communities, and just work with kids that need a lot of help in the summer. So the reasons that we do our literacy camps in the summer is this thing called the summer slide, and kids that live in poverty can lose up to 10 weeks of learning in the summer. And this is because a lot of them don't have access or even the funds to go to summer camp, or maybe parents can't be taking them to the library all the time, or just anything that's kind of interactive and educational for them in the summer. And they tend to either stay home and just watch TV, not go outside very much, and play with their friends. And so the kind of environments they usually are surrounded in the summer, they end up losing learning in the summer. And so we have our camps so that students have somewhere that they can go to, and actually avoid the learning loss that often happens in lower income communities.
And of course, you know, this year, that summer slide, the whole title of our campaign, the COVID-19 slide, this year that loss is even greater because kids have been out of school since March. And I think as Betsy and Andrea both alluded to, even though schools have been trying to run online homeschool, a lot of our kids don't have the internet access or the technology, or the parent support, because parents don't speak English always, to be able to really do homeschool effectively. So essentially these kids who always experience some learning loss are experiencing learning loss going all the way back to March. And so the situation is just especially urgent this summer. If there was ever a summer to get behind summer reading camps and support summer reading camps, friends, this is a time. Andrea, obviously we're in a really uncertain environment, and everybody's trying to look ahead, look into this foggy crystal ball and see what the summer is going to look like. But as you think about our plans for this summer, what are some of the ways you're planning to adapt and change, and what are some of the possibilities that we've talked about in terms of changing summer camps this year?
Yeah, so we've kind of looked at a couple different options. We kind of started out thinking of pushing our summer start date a little bit further back. An option is, if maybe doing smaller groups and having morning camps and evening camps with much smaller groups of kids, and still providing some sort of learning in maybe a 4-week camp, still using 2 different locations, as we were going to partner with Buckner as well this summer. But we've also really been considering going maybe an all virtual thing in the summer, as we kind of try to, as we're considering the health risks and trying to keep people safe. And so there's different options as well. Instead of actually running camps in person, is just making it all virtual, and planning different ways to still engage kids in the summer and provide them with quality enrichment material. And so, yeah, a little bit up in the air, but there's also there's many people that we can partner with too, and that we're going to continue to partner with, like Buckner and Readers to Leaders, as we kind of think and pray about what the best option is and the wisest option, but we definitely want to serve our students in the summer. So we're going to continue with those plans.
Yeah, we are working through a lot of uncertainty on that, but one thing there's no doubt about is we are going to continue to serve these kids and their families. We recognize the need is greater than ever before. So we're going to be doing something. It may be an all virtual option. It may be a very modified option in smaller groups.
Hey, Josh, can I ask a question?
Please.
Josh?
Yes.
How much was the Bachman community affected by the October tornado? Was there a lot of destruction or not? Or, I mean, that started this cycle where people, kids lost their schools, certainly in the TJ area and all that, and even, more than that. And psychologically, that's been just terrible for guys because they moved them off to different schools, so they didn't have the school activities they normally wanted, and also they entered into cultural wars, from different fashions of people and all. So I'm going like, wow. So, and then close the schools, in March, just add to the, the circumstances there. We have pushed our Florida trip off till July for that same reason, hoping that social distancing, I'm not really sure how we can come by that, because if you travel from Texas to Florida, each of those states could have a different view of what you're supposed to do and all. I mean, and of course, I think VBS is still on for us, but I think it's going to move. And of course, we're cut back because obviously we're not doing it at the church that you guys went to as well. They're meeting in their gym. That's their sanctuary now.
That's right.
And I see no activity there. But anyway, just I know that's hard to face, and even that social distancing for kids and all is that can be really problematic. And of course, if you've got facilities, that's the best thing you can do, because the heat's gonna be an issue again this year. For outside activities. So I know you guys are experienced in all that. So.
Betsy and Dre, do you guys want to just speak briefly to how the October the tornadoes in October affected the families? Maybe how you saw them impacted.
Talking about the tornadoes in the summer, but kind of on what Dan touched on is, I know I've been in touch with some of our youth corps from the past summers, and one of them is a senior that went to TJ, and she was just kind of expressing kind of what you were saying, and I know this is a lot of other seniors as well, but they had, they lost their school earlier in October. They had to go and switch to a completely different other school. Now they've basically, kind of lost, you think prom, you think at all the things seniors are missing out on, and even graduation and things. So she was just explaining of feeling like her whole senior year was taken away from her. And so I think just emotionally, it's been a lot for them. But I don't know if Betsy wants to talk a little bit more on the other effects on the tornado in our community.
Well, none of the apartment complex where our families live were affected, but they, as you were sharing, they were affected because some of my moms that have older kids, they stopped attending the program for a few weeks while they were adjusting to taking their kids to another school farther from where they live. So that was really hard for them, not only, and plus just around our building, there were, it was more business that were distracted. So just for them to ride from their apartment to our building took them what it used to be a 10-minute drive or 5-minute drive, it was like a 30 or 40-minute drive because a lot of roads were closed. So it was hard, but none of them lost their houses.
I wonder about childcare too, because somebody gets offered to go back to work at maybe 25% of activity they want to, and what does that mean? They have to school their children. They have to put them in childcare, but their childcare, as far as I can tell, hasn't had a release on kids, or at least licensed ones. And if you're going, if you're on workman's comp now, you go back to work or refuse to, then theoretically they could cut you off workman's comp, because if you're offered a job, you have to take. I mean, it's just a whole range of things impacting, the people in the Bachman community and everywhere, but even more so there, since they just don't have that. So you guys, in my opinion, are a bright light for them, and sharing Christ with them, that's what they need. They need that stability of knowing he's there all the time. A tornado's not going to affect him. Nobody's going to shut him down. I mean, all that stuff. That's exactly what these children need to know, and they need to know it at a young age too, so they can have some hope. They've had a rough turn all the way through. So anyway, I'm so proud for you guys. I see Rick is on there. You doing okay, Rick Owens?
Welcome, Rick.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Glad
Yeah.
you can be with us. Glad you can be with us. Well, I don't want to miss the opportunity, Dan and Rick. If you guys have specific questions, I know Rick, you've experienced this crisis very, very personally. I'm glad to see you on the screen there. But I want to give Rick and Dan, if you guys have other questions, I want to give you guys an opportunity. I've got one other closing question that I'll close out with the staff. If you don't, but if there's anything y'all wanted to hear, ask about, we're glad to be here for that.
No, I don't have any questions. Sorry, I'm late.
No.
I've been keeping up with you, through your emails and through Sarah Morrison, and been pretty much up to speed on what y'all have done and are doing, and we're excited how you're impacting your community, and the fact that we could send boxes of food over and so forth. So we're just very grateful for the work you're doing there. Believe me.
Well, we're really, really encouraged by that. Eric Clay, who's on this call, our communications coordinator, and Steve were distributing a lot of those boxes. When was it, Eric? Was it Wednesday? Or no, was it yesterday?
Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we know we got a lot of thank yous, a lot of thank you texts on that.
Wow.
I know there was one story in particular of a family where there were 12 individuals living in a house or living in an apartment. None of them currently working. I think it's a mom and dad, a couple kids, and some cousins, I think. And I can just tell you, they were extremely grateful to get those boxes of food and those beans and that flour. They were so grateful for that. So we are really thankful for that, and for the gift card, the grocery card money that you all have supplied. That's that's really a lifeline for some of our families. So we're grateful. Let me ask, just kind of to close out, just personally, I want to ask you guys on staff, what's been the biggest challenge for you guys in ministry in this season? And maybe it's not necessarily institution, maybe it's more just personal. What's been the biggest challenge, and how have you, where have you found strength and hope to battle that? So I don't know, Steve, I'll let you jump in first.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that comes first to mind is that, a lot of our students hearing the Word of God in our workshops pretty regularly had shown a increasing interest in learning more. And we had actually planned to kick off a regular Bible study that was going to be happening each week for a period of 4 to 6 weeks, right after spring break. It was really disappointing to see that was not able to come to fruition, but we'll be looking for more opportunities to make that kind of thing happen. Right now, we've been sending out encouraging messages and some verses via a text blast. But in terms of, I guess, challenges right now is, for me personally, is just bringing this year to a close and doing it in a meaningful way that re-engages these students. And we haven't quite figured out what that's going to look like, because we're not certain that we can bring them back in to do a live graduation where we can recognize them for their efforts and their achievements. And for we have a handful of students who, even with Zoom classes, have not missed a single class going all the way back to September. And that's just one of those things we want to recognize and reward. And a lot of them want to complete well themselves. They want to take the exams. They want to do the placement tests. They want to receive a certificate indicating what they've done. So, that's one of the big things that we still need to work out and hopefully can make happen in some way that will reconnect with our students.
Betsy, what about you? Either personally or maybe in the ministry, what do you feel like has been the biggest challenge right now?
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, we started recording videos for our students, me and the teachers, and wow, it's so hard to do a really good video using your cell phone and editing the video. It was the first week, it was really hard and challenging for us, but they've done an amazing job. So we're very, very thankful. And I don't know, well, it challenged, yes, when you hear really, the struggles of our moms and not being able to be there. but I'm so thankful that even though we can't be there to hug them, and we've been able to distribute food for them, to still share the word. We are very intentional as well in having these Bible stories as well with the little ones, because that's, as just you, Dan, you were saying, the importance of telling them that it's hope in the midst of this situation. So, you hear the stories, that was really challenging. How am I going to be able to help them? But then you see all these things that we're doing, it's helping them. They feel loved and safe. But yeah, so.
Andrea, what would you say is the biggest challenge you've been facing, and what's encouraged you and sustained you in that?
Yeah, man, I'm a people person. Normally, my favorite time of the work week or of the day is those few hours in after school every day when I'm actually with the kids. You get to work with them. So it's been really hard just doing it virtually, and because I can't do the one-on-ones with all of the kids, but so we've kind of divided up the students. So I've not being able to be with all of the kids and in person is rough. And then I think just part of kind of what we were talking about with the online learning, it's like I know a lot of my students and some of them are really behind. And so the kind of intervention that they need, you just feel like you're never doing enough especially on the phone. But I think it's just been encouraging, just like working with our staff in our time of prayer and just praising the Lord and having others just remind you and remind each other of everything that the Lord is still doing, and not to have this defeatist attitude that's easy to have in this time. And so I think it's just been encouraging to just continue to praise the Lord and just to see that all that he's still doing, even though it looks different than our original plan.
Yeah, I would say I would echo that, especially those last comments, Andrea, that I feel like for me personally, one of the things we've done, we always do this at CASA as a staff, but we have a short tag up. We call it a tag up from 9:05 to 9:15, where we'll read a scripture and we'll pray together and just quickly go over what's happening each day. And we've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 weeks via Zoom, which is a very different experience, but I've just found it so necessary in my own life. Even though I only get to see people the way I see them, seeing you guys right now, that's been a huge encouragement to me, just to be able to be together. We make a point of trying to share testimonies and thanksgivings and praises pretty much every morning, because man, you guys, everyone knows ministry can be hard, it can be discouraging, the situation can be discouraging, and if you don't stop and deliberately celebrate what Jesus is doing among us, then you can lose heart. So I think just the encouragement from the staff has been huge. So man, it's been great to have this time together. I've been really encouraged by it. Rick and Dan, if you guys don't have any other questions, I think we'll wrap up. But thank you everyone for being here. Our campaign continues there at gobutter.com/Casa versus COVID. I think everybody's got the web address. And man, we're really encouraged. I think we're well on the way to that goal, and praying that the Lord will help us succeed it.
Hey, Josh, there's been something I've been wanting to do in an environment like this. Here is a knuckle bump. All right.
That seems
Thank
like
you,
a,
everybody. I mean, what the hey? Eric, I don't know if I'll see your daughter in VBS this year because they're, no telling. I have no idea where we'll be, but
Yeah, they will miss you
anyway.
for sure.
well,
yeah.
good.
Anyway, that was a fun time.
Well,
So,
thank you everyone for being
Anyway,
on this
guys,
call.
push on. There's more to
Well,
do.
We will. All right. Well, Lord bless you and keep you.
Love you
Consecrate
all.
the Son upon you and be gracious unto you. Lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Lord.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.